The meeting of the Somerville Planning Board for August 27, 2025 will please come to order. Adequate notice of this meeting, as required by the Open Public Meeting Act, has been provided. A copy of the notice specifying the date, time, and location was 1, published to the Courier News, 2, posted on the bulletin board outside of Borough Hall, 3, posted to the municipal website, and 4, given to the clerk administrator. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to the issues the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and the decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. Roll call.
Andrea Dare, Chris Addix, and Art Akins are excused. Larry Cleveland.
Here.
Jason Kraska.
Here.
John Manilio is excused. Barry Van Horn.
Here.
Mayor Gallagher.
Here.
Councilmember Vroom is excused. Chairperson Werner.
Here. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I needed a motion for approval for minutes from August 13th.
So moved.
Second.
Jason Kraska.
Yes.
Chairperson Werner.
Yes. Okay, we have, next up is our hearing for 132 North Gaston for a preliminary approval.
Good evening, members of the board. Matt Flynn from Savo, Schock, Corsini, Warner, Gillespie, Ogrodnik, and Fisher here in Somerville, appearing tonight on behalf of the applicant, Shanta LLC. The project is to convert the abandoned Rite Aid building to a Liquor Saver retail store. The lot is designated as Block 43, Lot 1.01 in your tax records, and more commonly known as 132 North Gaston Avenue. This project is a retail-to-retail change in occupancy that your ordinance states requires site plan approval. So we're here tonight proposing limited changes and requesting approval to continue basically the existing conditions affecting the site as it exists today, with some cleanup that our engineer will go through. We are in receipt of Mr. Cole's review memorandum. We've reviewed his recommendations and suggested conditions and are happy to report that we can comply with his memo. We will go through that in testimony. With me tonight, I only have one witness, Deborah D'Amico, our engineer, although I do have a representative from the applicant here if necessary, although I don't know how much operational testimony you would need. It's an existing liquor store that's just changing locations and expanding. So notice has been provided, mailed and published as required by law, and unless the board has any initial questions, I'd like to get our first witness sworn in.
No issues with the notice and the publication.
Can you turn your microphone on, please?
Thank you. There's no issue with the notice and publication. Before we swear in Mr. Flynn's witness, I'll just mark for purposes of the record as A1, the application and supporting documentation, A2, the notice and publication proofs, and PB1, Mr. Cole's report dated August 20th, 2025.
Thank you, Ms. Kaczynski.
Okay, if you could just raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you.
So, Deborah, why don't you take the board through what we're proposing to do with the site?
Do we want to qualify her, or?
Oh, apologies. Yes. Can you can you give the benefit of
We
your
get so used to doing this, we
credentials?
forget every so
I
often.
know, right? Can you give the benefit of your professional credentials, please?
So, licensed professional civil engineer in the state of New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania, and I've been before this board and the zoning board in town. I live in town and I work in town.
And your licenses are current and in good standing?
Yes.
I would offer up as an expert in professional engineering.
Mayor accepted, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, my initial question, why don't you tell the board what we want to do with the site?
So the site is existing, it is improved, and most of the improvements are in good shape. The applicant would like to come in and fix anything that's broken and in disrepair, move in and change from the Rite Aid to a liquor store. He is already a business in town. He has a store across the street, so he'd be moving to this space. It's a larger space for him, and it's better located for him. So that's basically it. In response to Mr. Cole's letter, couple of things he wanted me to go over with regard to updates and information. We can restripe that bank of parking along the building and accommodate a man's accessible space, so that can be done and will be done. We talked about solid waste management. The existing dumpsters are adequately sized and located for the use. I spoke with the client about that, and he will continue to use them as they are. He will repair the gates and install the internal bollards of the garbage enclosure to protect it. Landscaping buffers and tree planting. What the applicant would like to do is the landscaping plan that was originally approved by the zoning board when Rite Aid came in, I have a copy of that. Anything that is deficient or dead or diseased, he will remove and replace in kind. So that would bring the landscaping back to the standard that was approved by the borough 1997. So, and then once he does that, there won't be much room for shade trees because there's a lot of plantings along the right-of-way.
Can that be discussed later on?
Yeah, we can discuss that.
Okay.
Sure. The light fixtures are on a timer, and he is willing to adjust timers and which fixtures come on and go off for security lighting as needed. And he certainly, if there's something that needs addressing, is willing to address it, you know, to compensate any issues that there may be with neighbors. Stormwater management, the pipe is adequate for the parking lot and the downspouts, which do tie into the storm drain. And that has been in existence for 20 years. There's no known, and we certainly have had a number of storms go through, and there's no known issues with stormwater in that parking lot. The sign, he will comply with all of the suggestions from Mr. Cole. And I think that is, oh, the HVAC equipment up on the roof, he's willing to screen that with an enclosure, probably lattice or something, so that the airflow can still get to it. And that is it, I think. So if you have
So basically,
questions.
basically the crux of this application is that it's a permitted use, correct?
Yes.
Permitted use for the zone, and we're looking to continue and/or improve any existing conditions that exist on site today.
Correct, correct.
That's really all I have for Mr. Miyako.
Questions from the board?
Yeah.
Trash compactor, garbage, cardboard compactor, is it going to be a compactor? Is that a question for someone else, Debbie, or, okay, someone else?
Someone else, yeah.
Do you
Okay.
want to come up and get sworn in? Yep, right here. You state your name for the record, you're going to be sworn in.
Prashant Amin, 131 Morgan Place, Bridgewater, New Jersey.
Thank you. If you could just raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give us, board, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And Prashant, you're a representative from the applicant.
Yes,
Can you answer Mr. Cole's question?
yes. There is no trash compactor inside the building, so we gonna use the recycle dumpster for the recycle.
Okay, so you're not going to have a compactor?
No, we're
You're
not
going
gonna
to
have
use
a
the
compactor.
existing
Existing,
recycle
yes.
refuse area,
Yes,
and
yes,
if it's, you're going to have pickups
Yes.
as needed,
yes,
so that if your business picks up, or you need twice a week or
Twice
three
a
times,
week.
whatever it is,
Yes,
you'll
we-
comply
we-
with that
yes.
to
we'll-
accommodate the size of the dumpster, so
Yes.
whatever's required will be done, but you're going to use the dumpster.
Yes,
Can you talk a little bit, we've had some issues with other commercial establishments in regards to times that dumpsters are being picked up, like 3, 4 in the morning. Can you provide testimony to what times they will be picking up?
Yeah, it'll be, most probably, I have a business and they do pick up after 9 o'clock in the morning.
After 9 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay.
Same thing for deliveries? Sorry.
Yes, same thing, yes. We open and after 9 o'clock, most of the trucks are going back, the liquor companies. So it'll be done by, most by 5, sometime, like if it's a rain or something, they're late, they go by 6. But I never see that. Most of the time it's happen before 5 o'clock.
And that's PM, 5 o'clock PM.
Yes.
What were the hours of business?
Hours of business is gonna be from 9 to 10, but
9 a.m. to 10
9
p.m.?
a.m. to 10 p.m.
I wanted to go back to the trees. The landscaping that you're talking about was from 1997, so that's quite a while ago. I like to joke around, I call that BC, before Cleveland, so. It's my joke for the day. But the point is, that's an old landscaping layout, and I wonder if we would rather have more or closer to the amount of required trees than just simply the landscaping. I don't, you see the site for years and years and it kind of becomes invisible to you in certain aspects.
Yes.
But maybe we should add, because the way I'm looking at it, it's supposed to be 16 trees. You're only proposing 7 total between shade and street trees. So that's less than half. Or write a check for the other ones. And then we'll plant them in other places that we can do in town.
That is a 9 tree we propose to add.
Well, there are some trees that are missing
We're gonna-
that we'll put back in. And we certainly can enhance this if we need to add another tree or two, if there's room. There's not a lot of room there now, and there are trees that are missing, that aren't there. that
So
need to
what
be
is the total
planted.
number that would be proposed for straight shade trees as of right now?
Along, on the site or along the right-of-way? That's what I need to know. I have, this is the planting plan from 1997. So,
I think if we take that and compare it to the requirements in Mr.
I'm trying to
Cole's
see what's
report,
missing.
Yeah.
so between the parking lot and the right-of-way, so that area, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trees, and that's just along the parking lot area. That doesn't go along the building. So there's 8 trees that are supposed to be there. And yes, yes. So there's, let's see, a QR is a,
Yeah, I think she means street trees, because she's talking about right-of-way, so that would be
right,
frontage.
yeah, so there's a red oak, there's a JC, which is a juniper, no, I'm sorry, that's not a JC. Oh, there's 2 existing trees that were there that are gone, that need to be replaced. So it's not just what we proposed to plant. So if there were trees that were there in 1997 and they're not there anymore, we'll replace those with another shade tree.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out what
Yeah,
was
so
there in
there's
97
1,
and
2,
what's
3,
required
4,
now.
5, 6, 7, 8 trees between the parking lot and the,
So instead of the 9
Right away.
street trees, we'd be
have
going
8.
down to 8.
yeah, oh,
From
and then
the
there's
4.
one on the other side of the driveway, so that would bring 9.
The back driveway?
No, the other side of the,
The entrance, the one entrance
yes.
exit?
All right, so the 9, so that's compliant.
From the Coles report,
yep,
it says plant 4 shade trees and 5 straight trees. And we will agree to do that, and also, whatever missing landscaping, we'll put it back in.
Okay, that's what we need. Thank you.
Exactly.
yeah.
Even better. What you ask for, it will comply that, and, restore the landscaping the way it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
I want to go
Go ahead.
back to the dumpster
Yep.
question. That dumpster area that's there now, you're gonna have 2 different dumpsters, one for recycling and one for garbage. will you be generating more than that, or you just do additional pickups?
We are in the liquor business. We have a two-time pickup, and we always is more than enough to do that two-time pickups.
Okay.
And he's basically saying if he generates so much refuse that 2 times doesn't work, he'll go to 3 or 4.
3 or 4 times.
Whatever it takes.
They gotta
Most
keep it in that
probably,
space.
one time we'll do it.
Right.
Because liquor store do not generate too much
Right.
garbage, regular garbage. And those we fold it, leave it, when the day comes, we throw it in there. So, and most of the recycle when customer comes.
Right.
Now the New Jersey do not allow the bags, so they take the box and boxes with them.
Are you also gonna fix the fencing area?
Yes, we do,
Yeah,
fix the fence,
that's all
fix
bang
the landscaping around this from the report.
Okay.
And we'll make sure the gates get lifted, and we put the bollard in the back, and whatever need to be done, we will do it.
Right. Basically, Debbie indicated that they will comply with the report, which means that there was a cracked apron that
Yes, we'll take
there
care of
was
that.
the board-on-board fence, Larry. There was a slab or 2 of sidewalk that settled, not a lot.
Not a lot. We'll take
There
care of
was the lighting that they're gonna provide the photometrics, and it's on a timer. So we're gonna look at security lighting and see what can be done. And the hours are 9 AM to 10 PM.
Yes, sir.
And the loading area is sufficient where it
Yes.
is right now?
We don't use much loading area.
Okay, and then the deliveries are gonna be before, you said that the deliveries and the waste disposal,
We'll
recycling.
early in the morning, yes.
Right.
And with everything, the only thing I didn't hear anything mentioned about was the sign. You're gonna make sure that complies as well?
Yes, yeah.
So two, somewhat operational. One issue, and it's not relegated to just your liquor store, it's endemic to liquor stores everywhere, are the shooter bottles. They wind up, when people walk out, they'll shoot them down and then toss them. And it becomes a problem. They get strewn all over. And again, it's not, I'm not saying it's your store, it's every liquor store.
Yes.
How do we combat that?
Okay, so, we as a family, we're running the business for 25 years, and we trying our best. We were tenant somewhere, but this is my own. We take responsibility to keep the whole building and a parking lot neat and clean. We're gonna try our best.
Because you do have residential neighbors
Yes.
immediately adjacent, and I think that's a concern that they will have.
We will do our best to keep the parking lot and everything else neat and clean. 25 years doing the business in Somerville, 2 businesses. We never have a police came to our store.
Will you have video cameras?
Yes.
On the outside?
Yes.
Okay, good. The other is, and again, this isn't relegated to just your store, there are some liquor stores that there's a proliferation of temporary signs and banners. It's the Coors Light sale, whatever it may be. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because it does become an eyesore when you have all of these different competing banners and prices. And I don't know that that is warranted on that corner. I think it's an eyesore, and I think it lends itself to a distraction for drivers, especially when we have a school right up the road.
It's not necessary. The way the building looks is so beautiful. I'm gonna try to maintain it, not to put any screws in the building, to put those signs in.
Thank you.
I just had one other thing. I know we talked about deliveries and pickups after 9 AM. I just wanted to also, it is a residential area. We try to restrict also no later than. Normally in a residential, in that type of transition area, we usually say nothing after 8 PM. Would you be agreeable to everything after 9 AM but before 8 PM?
Yes, dear, I do. If there is a delivery coming, I'm gonna refuse it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, I didn't hear much talk about the proposed condensers that are gonna be on the roof. Given that it's a residential area, is the applicant favorable to a post-construction sound study to ensure compliance?
I think that during compliance, should the board approve this, they'll provide the data. It's in the report that Debbie said they will agree to, and they have to show compliance with the state noise code. And that will be addressed prior to construction.
Okay.
That's, works for you?
Yeah,
I agree.
just making sure.
I agree. And the same thing with the screening. The architect said that the proposed new AC condensers for the walk-in coolers, refrigeration units will not be in public view. And in the report, I said, should it be found to be in public view, that they will recommend screening it, and the applicant's agreeing to that. Plus, the applicants agreed to screen the existing AC units, which are visible from the parking lot in Union.
Okay.
So,
It's not visible from the parking lot, but it is visible
From you.
from the.
From the
Union
sidewalk.
Avenue.
Yeah.
So we will
right,
put some kind of, is a little bit visible, is not much, but we'll
Right.
make sure we'll put some kind of talus or something to make it look good.
Our police department just started a program where you can, those who have video cameras on the outside of their buildings or their homes can register. Not that the police would have access to it, but they then have a database, so if there is an incident, they have the ability to understand who has access to video. Would you be willing to register with the PD with that?
Yes, we do, and police always comes to us when there is accidents, and they're always looking for a video, and we
Good.
provide them.
Thank you.
Anything else from the board members?
just that the.
Mike, I was going to say, can you just make sure that, go through and make sure that you don't have anything open from your report as well?
No, the wheel comply covers it all, but the board, it has to be, one of the ADA spots has to be van accessible, and I talked, and they're gonna do that and show the accessibility, the accessible route to the store.
Okay.
There's a ramp there, so they're gonna bring that on to compliance. The report talks about having the wall sign have LED, making the lights dimmable, so we don't have to deal with how bright it is. We can do in the field and adjust the lighting, and that would address that. They're gonna maintain the landscaping, so the board knows when a board approves landscaping, there's no sunset. You have to maintain that landscaping for the indefinite future.
Yes.
And the testimony is that the street trees and the landscaping, street trees and shade trees will comply with the numbers in the report, and they will restore the landscaping to what was previously approved, which some of it's a little bit overgrown, so they're gonna cut that back, deal with the board-on-board fence, and basically, I'll call it property maintenance. Maintain the site back to what it got approved in 96, 97.
Okay.
I just had a couple questions. Can you, I know you indicated that you will comply with the street trees, so we don't need relief from that at all. There's certain items on page 6 of Mike's report regarding lighting and the, I guess, lighting and then the light pole. Information wasn't provided, so he wasn't sure if we needed relief. Will you comply with the requirements? Are you looking for relief? How are we gonna address those four?
He's right here.
Debbie, can I jump in there for a second?
Yeah, I'm
I-
just reading
I-
this.
I think the approach would be to do a photometrics in the field and demonstrate that the lighting complies. If it doesn't, the lighting doesn't comply, I'm talking about light trespass, that screening or the heads, it'll be dressed so the lighting will comply. And once the photometrics are done, we'll look at the security lighting issue, which the ordinance talks about reducing lighting, but we don't know to what extent. Should the board approve this, I think, allow a little latitude there, because I don't know in a corner like that how much, you want a certain amount of lighting.
Yes.
So the security lighting might be only 1 or 2 lights being reduced, but there's gonna be some, in my opinion.
No, and I think normally we've done that where it's done out in the field once
Right.
it's empty,
That's
because we
fine.
really
Yep.
can't make that determination
Yeah.
until it's.
There are no shields on them right now, so there is the ability to improve what's there to the best of the ability of the applicant. And certainly, they're on timers, they're not on dimmers, so I don't know if those lights from way back when are dimmable, but if they are, that's another thing that we can do to help bring it closer to or into compliance.
Right, so there's 3 light poles to do full cutoff heads. There's things that can be done to address this, but there's no information right now. So I suggest that we get the information in the field and
And address it.
address it at that time.
Yeah.
If the board's comfortable with that.
Which is fine, so the approach will be, we won't grant any relief from those items, they'll do the study in the field and do whatever's necessary to make it compliant with the ordinance.
Right.
Or else
Leave it
we
at that.
need relief, further relief.
Correct,
Right.
but I think it can
I
make it
think,
work.
I think we'll be.
I don't see that happening, but should lighting become a huge issue, it'd have to come back to the board
Come back,
for whatever that
yeah.
relief. but
Understood.
I just don't see that happening.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else from you, Kara?
Nope.
All right, I am going to open it up to public for comment or questions concerning this hearing. Please come up to the microphone, state your name and your address, please.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Lamborn, 32 Lisa Terrace. Like Mayor Gallagher mentioned, I actually live close to the current liquor store, and I'm coming up for two items. First one is the shooter bottles that end up on the street as litter. It's something that frequently happens in our neighborhood. I would like to see a little more effort, or maybe an adopt a street program that is sponsored by the liquor store to help clean those up. Would be nice to see. The second item that I think would be beneficial is to update the stormwater attenuation beyond 1997. I think we can do better than that. There are best management practices, especially for the drainage that comes off of the roof. If that's tied in directly to, here's the question, is it tied directly into the storm drains, or does it end up on the property surface level first before going down the
It's
drains?
already tied in.
Okay, is there an opportunity for some green infrastructure practices to be placed? In particular, some rain gardens would be nice, or even going so far as underground infiltration would be nice to see better attenuation. Our storms are getting better, are getting greater, and in part on the agenda today is to talk about that as part of our master planning process. So I think we can do better than just what 1997 did. Our storms have increased by then.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up, sir.
And just for the record, this is for questions of the witness or comments as well.
Thank you. My name is Louis Silverman. I live at 12 Union Ave. I'm directly next to the Rite Aid building. I have a serious concern about litter. And historically, like if you guys look today at the fence that's between the liquor store and the graveyard, it's disgusting. And the graveyard is full of liquor trash. Not to mention our streets. I appreciate you bringing up the shooter bottles. It's an absolute epidemic. I'm concerned that trash, the fence along our properties is dilapidated, and I'm concerned that trash will be blown either by the wind or by their lawn people, and what tends to generally happen is it all gets pushed into my yard. And I think it'll be made even worse with the liquor trash now being directly in the Rite Aid parking lot. So I'm hoping that part of the plan can be to create a wall that will prevent trash from going through, as well as fixing all the messed up trees in between our properties. If that could be included in the plan, I would appreciate that very much. I want to guarantee that my yard's not going to be trashed, and I don't trust my potential neighbors to respect my property. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, hearing. Oh, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Asa Buchanan. I live at 441 Bartine Street, which is catty corner to the Rite Aid right now. I think the applicant had mentioned that there would not be significant I'm very sorry, trying to get all organized. That first, I'd like to say that not all retail spaces are created equal. There are significant improvements that would need to be done to the Rite Aid in order for the liquor store to be in place. And I think it's Borough Code Section 102-28B says that any changes in the use of a building site shall be treated as new use. So this is not a retail to retail spot. Pharmacies drive a lot of community. They're needed for medicine and also just other minor groceries. I personally walked to Rite Aid probably twice a week. I talked to Ramiro all the time. He'd brighten my day. Also, the New Jersey Municipal Land Use Law says that any new development must meet an identifiable community need. We have 5 liquor stores within a mile from 132 North Gaston Ave, including the current Liquor Saver. I just wanted to ask or make sure that everyone kind of understands that to me, there's no need for another liquor store within our little community. And then, hold on one second. Very sorry for this.
That's okay.
And also within the development plan, we are prioritizing community, as mentioned. The shooter bottles are over in my yard, so they make their way a long way. There's trash everywhere, and there's already loitering with the smoke shop around my house as well. There's an increase of rats lately as well, so I'm also not confident that this will prevent or stop the litter. And I would just want to ask, like, if there's a way that the design of a retail liquor store can create a more friendly, social, engaging, and walkable space in the neighborhood more than a pharmacy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, do you want to just comment on really quick, in response to that, on the zoning?
Briefly, the liquor store is allowed in the redevelopment zone, so it's a permitted use. The change of use is questionable depending on substantial. You look at a change of use, you could argue it's retail to retail, but you have to look at the intensity of use. It's very similar. That's why I put it out in the report. It's either a C or a V on some of these things. It's the question of if the hours are similar and the traffic is similar. It's a different retail, but retail's allowed in the zone, so you run into that rub whether it's truly a change of use from a standpoint of intensity. If it's not in my opinion, if it's not it does not increase the intensity, and then it's really a very similar use, being that the intensity of truck traffic, cars is roughly the same, then you don't really have a mechanism there. So, but I would point out that it's not an increase in liquor stores. It's the same number of liquor stores, just moving it 500 or 800 feet. So we're not increasing the liquor stores. We're maintaining the number, just the locations being moved. So if the borough has 5 liquor stores in that area, or they mentioned, it's been that way for many, many years. And this application is not proposing to change that.
Yes, sir. You need to come back up.
I really appreciated your comments just now, because when I bought my house, I read over the Gaston Ave redevelopment plan, and I was kind of trying to stay aware of what it's about. And there's a piece of language in it that I thought is really important here, and that's that we want to increase property values through development that enhances Somerville's economic vitality, as well as create an environment that creates interaction between residents, encourages walking, outdoor living, and is aesthetically attractive. I don't think that having a bigger liquor store, a larger alcohol presence in our neighborhood accomplishes any of those things. I think that the change of use it's a significant difference versus a grocery store and a liquor store. And there was one other piece of language that I thought was really good here. I'm sorry, just give me a second. The Gaston Ave redevelopment plan states that planning should take into account the community context of every site and encourage the economic development and reuse of properties that is focused to act as a service for the surrounding neighborhood. Making a liquor store larger is the opposite of that goal. Having a grocery store and a pharmacy where we've spoken to each other in the Rite Aid before, where we just bumped into each other. Many of my neighbors here I've bumped into at the pharmacy. We don't bump into each other at the liquor store. We stay away from the liquor store because it's a little scary. I thought I heard the applicant say earlier, in 25 years, the police have never been called to the liquor store. I have a photo of the police letting a drunk driver go in front of the liquor store on August 18th because they couldn't prove that he was driving, even though I'm sure that there's probably cameras that they could have used from the owner that would have proven that he drove up, parked right in the front. The community members actually stopped this person from getting in their car and leaving, and because the police didn't have the evidence at the time, he walked off. That kind of behavior is coming to my backyard, and I'm hoping that the board can do something about it.
So I will just reiterate for the public, one of the things that is not before us here as a vote, or whether we're approving or not approving, is the use. It is an approved, already approved, and acceptable use within this redevelopment plan. Legally, we have no say in that, in this hearing. This hearing is to ensure that they will conform in this use change to anything that is now more relevant to, which was not when Rite Aid was put in, to the redevelopment plan. Okay, so just understand that that is not before the board tonight on whether this use is acceptable or not acceptable. It is already approved. Okay. Anybody else from the public?
I promise I'll be quick. Avery Hyman, 16 Union Avenue, right next to Lou, so one over from Rite Aid. Just wanted to ask some questions, voice some concerns about the security measures that are being taken with cameras. I personally myself have installed a security camera outside of my house because of things that happen in the parking lot, fights, screaming at 3 in the morning. I mean, it is a safety concern for me. And I'm just wondering, as far as what is going to be at the new liquor store location at Rite Aid, where they're going to put those security cameras, because there have been unhoused different folks or people that are just drinking and hanging out by the dumpster area that is like a darker corner that's not as well lit. So I want to make sure that the cameras are going in all directions at the place. So,
thank you.
Can I jump in there?
Sure, good.
If anybody sees anybody doing anything illegal at any time, anywhere in this borough, call the police. You know, I can't impress it upon people that enough. That's their job. You know your neighborhood better than anybody. And if you see something out of sorts, and you know something's just a little off, call. Their job is to determine whether they're doing something illegal or not. That's their job. And they will gladly do that. Call. If you see anybody doing anything wrong, call, please.
Anyone else from the public? Yes, you can. I know.
Look, I leave the Mel Peabody, 25 Bremer Street. My only comment in the relocation of this is that on the south side, and she brought it up also, it's the dark part. By that dumpster, there's dead zones against that fence. The trees go around it. Also, the gentleman to the south, he rebuilt that whole wall. He's got new trees in there. He's got a wire fence. People cross through his property into that parking lot. Now that we have dance studios there, I was just wondering if he has the point and there's a problem with that fence being destroyed to the south, to build a better one so we can't cross at all there. That's my point. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Yes, ma'am.
Completely unprepared, Sherry Novembri, 200 North Gaston. I just wanted to thank you for everyone who spoke, and I agree with you. I am concerned about this. I'm disappointed to hear that it's already approved, but since it is, I just wanted to voice that we have a vape store, a gun store. We will now have a larger liquor store, and now I have a dispensary up on the highway just a few blocks from me. It's starting to feel less community-like than I originally thought, and I think that that will eventually hurt my property values. Having said that, I never want to stop a business from thriving. So I just would ask that the people who are now going to occupy that space, that they please consider everything they heard today and maybe try and do a little bit better than 1997. to try and see that we care about our community and that we would like them to try to be part of it. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am?
Hi, good evening. My name is Jeannie Mark. I reside on 39 Fieldstone Drive. I am a resident, a wife with my husband, and I am also a business owner. So my house acts as my residency and also my business, my consulting business. I want to reiterate, and I also want to thank all of the people who came out from our surrounding area and spoke about their concerns, and I want to reiterate the same concerns not only as a resident, but also as a business owner. I cannot fathom or understand how in a borough that is only 2.37 square miles, how it makes sense to cluster, to reiterate again, a gun store, a smoke shop, and now a liquor store all within 100 feet of one another, down the road from a dispensary off of Route 22, and within walking distance of an elementary school. Decisions like these make residents, not only residents, but business owners uncomfortable. They undermine the character of our community, and they send the message that Somerville has stopped prioritizing families in favor of quick revenue and poor optics. I am very concerned about the reputation that the town will have after creating a very particular looking zone in a time when so many Main Street businesses are struggling to stay afloat under astronomical rents, when what they need most is foot traffic and family-friendly community investment. The town continues to approve businesses that detract from rather than build upon the vision of a thriving, safe, and welcoming Somerville. Again, to reiterate the points already made, the liquor store already creates significant problems within the neighborhood, from loitering and drinking outside to several other concerns that have been raised. I don't see how expanding the store can help anyone. I am hoping for Somerville to become a safer, stronger, and more appealing town to families. And again, I am speaking from not only a resident but also a business owner, and I am concerned about the longevity that this particular zone will have on the reputation of the town, the value of not only the local resident properties, but also what other businesses will want to open within Somerville, and what this could potentially turn the town into. I've always come here as a child. I came with my parents. We would go and watch the bike race. We would grab ice cream. We would sit on park benches and talk to families who share the same sense of community. That's why I moved here with my husband to start a family, thinking back on those memories, and it's very hard to reconcile those memories with what I'm currently seeing just blocks away from my door. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Terry Snyder. I live across the street in Bridgewater from the Emmons. They are wonderful neighbors. Their yard is kept beautifully. The family is a wonderful neighbor. They own another piece of property in Bridgewater, the Manhattan Bagel, and they restructured that and made it into a gorgeous piece of property. They have no issues there. It's in Bridgewater, but it is maintained very well. And I just want to speak to the character of them. They would support anyone. They're wonderful people, and I don't see how moving a liquor store across the street is the same store across the street is going to be that detrimental. And what they've done to the other store in Bridgewater is a testament to how good they were with the community, with the township, to comply to all the regulations that they needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Bill Marzacco, 582 Locust Street in Bridgewater, 30-year friend and neighbor of Prashant and Joy. I reiterate what my other neighbor said. If you look at his businesses right now on East Main Street in Bridgewater, it's a coffee shop, dry cleaner, eye doctor. There's not a straw, there's not a cup lid, there's nothing on the property. I was at the board meeting when they had to go to Bridgewater to get approved. They brought the same questions up relative to dumpsters. He took care of it. No more complaints to the neighbors. The guy's a stand-up guy.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close public session. Any other comments from the board? Go ahead, sir.
Mike's report indicated that they were going to be fixing the fences.
Make sure
Can
your
you-
mic is on.
Thank
Mike's report indicated in the applicant, the applicant also agreed that they would fix the fencing, all of the fencing, so that should address what Mr. Peabody talked about. And also, gentlemen, yeah,
Correct.
on the house right next to it.
Ideally, a solid fence, not something that's like got, you know.
Okay, if you,
fences.
could we just, the board member is speaking, please. No, he was not.
Well, no, I was just saying that your comment about having a solid fence, that should be something we should look at to ease the neighbors' concerns.
We can make that as part of the,
I think it kind of already is.
well, we
but-
can specify specifically,
right
not
now
just
it's-
fencing, but solid
It's a
fencing.
board on board, it's not a stockade, which means if you look at it, there's a board here and a board here, there's a gap.
Yeah.
If the board should desire, we could do a more like a stockade or with no gaps. I just don't know how the board feels about that.
I'm fine, I like the board on board. Look better, that's what.
Yeah.
Yes, aesthetics. I
Aesthetically, it's better
understand.
for,
Yeah.
I think the intent was to stay away from a chain link. The board on board, I think, is fine. I think it's just more of the staying away from and not allowing chain link to come back into that.
I also think that maybe a couple of well-placed garbage cans out by the driveways for people who are walking. Put it here, boom. One at each driveway.
Or at least outside of the door.
Well, no, by the driveway, because they don't drink it right outside the door. They walk. Come on. Hey, I've been around the block. You know. So I'm just saying
Yeah.
that maybe a couple of well-placed garbage cans could also help in collecting of that garbage.
Yes.
Doesn't cost that much.
No.
He's good with that? Yeah,
Anything
no
else from
problem.
the board?
I guess just a couple of comments. And you had mentioned it very briefly, Madam Chair, that Somerville, we don't have a proliferation of liquor licenses. We have a set number of liquor licenses. We're not increasing. The store is moving across the street. It is going to be a bigger store. But I think you also have to take a look back in history. Gaston Avenue has been a small retail area for Somerville, for the eastern neighborhood, for decades. And it's seen its ebbs and flows. Some good ebbs and flows, and some really bad ebbs and flows. It wasn't too long ago that where the dance studio is now was a liquor store. It wasn't too long ago across the street where the Shell station was, where the vape store is now, was a bar/packaged goods store. It wasn't too long ago where across the street where a restaurant hopefully will be reopening soon was not a very good bar. It was a really bad place. Bucket of blood, Rich, is that what they called it? Yeah. So, you know, there are changes. Did I like the fact that a store was going in at the top of 22? No. A weed store. I just, to me, it doesn't fit with Somerville. But those were the rules I was given when I came back. And the goal now, as a woman said before, is to have success. And I think probably everybody up at this board has been in your store. I would venture to say a whole lot of people in the audience have also been in your store. I've known you for 20 years, just by coming in and out, not a whole lot. But you have always treated everybody who came in professionally, and you try to run a good store. If there are characters that misbehave, that is the applicant's job to call the police. It's a resident's job, if they see something, to call the police. I came to this town in '91 for the very reasons that you came. Because I could take my kids downtown. Because I could go to the bike races. I could get them ice cream. And you know what? I now do that with my grandkids. Because Somerville has changed. And in the words of Mr. O'Neill, it's gotten better. So, you know, you take a look at change, and nobody wants change. Everybody wants to, they want to move here because it's changing and it's a really cool place to be. But now, once they get in, they're like, well, don't change anything now that I'm here. Things are going to change, but that's what keeps the town alive. We have a gentleman, a family, who wants to reinvest in Somerville. That reinvestment has a positive impact on every one of us, on our taxes, on our community, on our ability to provide for schools, for parks, for fire, for police, a little bit of everything. As soon as we stop having entrepreneurs investing in Somerville, that's when you move out. Because that's when you have a town that will not be successful. We don't have that. We have people clamoring to get in. And every application that comes before this board, every application that comes into town, I don't necessarily agree with every single one of them, but I have to try to figure out how to make the best out of what's coming. You're going to see, if you stay long enough, we're actually beginning to address the master plan. 20 years ago, we did this, and we started to shape how the borough of Somerville will look in 20 years. That was 20 years ago. We're 20 years forward, and that's what we created. This board is about to do that again. We're going through that process now. We're beginning that process tonight of reshaping what will Somerville look like in the next 20 years. I encourage you to be a part of it. I thank you for coming out because you've raised some great concerns. And I think the applicant has taken some of those to heart. I think they're valid, and I think I share them with you. I live a block and a half, 2 blocks from there. I live in the neighborhood. I get it. I have people walking up and back, and you know what? For the most part, it's somebody going to get a 6-pack and going home, for the most part. Do you have a couple of yahoos? Absolutely. But you have that in any store you go into, any downtown you go into. We're a very special community, and we're lucky that we have people who want to reinvest in our town. So thank you for reinvesting in our town, and thank all of you for coming. I agree with a bunch of stuff that you said. I really do. And what I can tell you is, I'm in the neighborhood. I jog by there almost every day. If there's something wrong, you know what? I'm going to pick up the phone and call them. And I'm gonna, you said, and I'm gonna hold him to it. And you know what? I think he'll hold to it. So, anybody else?
So one more note that I didn't get to touch base on. As far as the lighting goes, are you open to adding lighting in that back area where the dumpster is? Because there was multiple people who discussed that.
I was going to suggest that as part of the field testing with Mr. Cole, that they can look into that as part of that condition of approval.
Yeah, I don't want to flood the neighbor's yard with light, but if we can get something.
But it needs to obviously be illuminated a little bit more.
Yeah, we will investigate that as part of resolution compliance.
And I would suggest if there is, that the lighting be lower so the fence shields anything that might spill.
Absolutely. We could work.
We'll look at the lighting to make sure it meets minimum safety standards back to the loading area, and that we don't have a lot of trespass under 0.5 in the shielding. Yes, we just don't have the data here tonight.
Yep. Anything else from the board? I just want to make one last comment, just on the heels of the mayor. I do appreciate, I know the board appreciates all of you that have come out from the public for this. I will encourage you. The reason we're all up here is for, you know, we all started probably out there in the audience, at least I know I did, 20-some years ago almost.
She was horrible.
And I would encourage you, this is, we all kind of commented tonight, we haven't had a crowd like this in a while. Most people don't pay attention to what we're doing here until it affects them literally as a neighbor. What I would suggest is continue to watch and look for our agendas on the website. We are going to be re-examining our master plan. We are going to be looking at every single redevelopment plan that we have in Somerville, as well as all of our zoning. We do this on a continuous basis. We want your input. That's why we do this in a public forum for full transparency. We actually do it probably more transparent than I know any other municipality within Somerset County. So we encourage you to please be a part of that. Don't think that just because if this process gets approved tonight, this applicant gets approved tonight, that we don't hear you. There are certain restrictions, like I said, it's already an acceptable use. We're not voting on that tonight. But that doesn't mean we don't hear you and that we don't want you to come back and please be part of our process. Okay, so we do appreciate that, and me as the chair, I would like to extend that, and I know I'm saying this on behalf of every board member here. So thank you for coming out, and thank you for having that courage too, because most people don't. They do it behind the scenes, or they do it on social media instead of actually coming here and actually having a voice. So thank you for that. Having said that, can we reiterate what will be in our motion?
Yes, so the application is here tonight for preliminary site plan approval, along with the relief outlined in Mr. Cole's report, with the exception of the items that the applicant has indicated that they will comply with concerning the trees, landscaping, and the lighting. So one of the conditions will be they will comply with all the comments and recommendations in that report. They will remove and replace any dead landscaping in order to comply with the landscaping requirements of the ordinance. The HVAC will be screened with lattice or other appropriate enclosures to the satisfaction of the board engineer planner. The recycling dumpster will be utilized in lieu of any compactor indoors, and pickups will be scheduled as needed to accommodate the necessary recycling. Those pickups will be after 9 a.m. Deliveries will also be after 9 a.m. I just want to have in there the hours of operation will be 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. The applicant will register with the police department so that they are able to view their video footage when necessary. There will be a photometric study in the field upon, at what time? When do you want to do that?
I'll just coordinate that with Debbie on her convenience. Sometime, hopefully during compliance in the next week or two,
Okay.
depending on her schedule. Of course,
Okay.
it's summer, but we get out there.
Okay, so we'll do a photometric study in the field to determine whether or not the lighting complies with the ordinance requirements. If not, they will take whatever action is necessary to make sure that it does. Safety lighting will be installed, again, to the satisfaction of the board engineer planner in the area by the dumpster, at a height, as the mayor had indicated, that would not enable it to exceed the fence. And the applicant shall place garbage cans near the driveways in location, again, to the satisfaction of the professional.
Do we say the van striping?
Yep, that was the.
Is that in there?
It's in the report.
Okay. And no deliveries after,
Yeah, I wanted, were the hours for deliveries after
So I had after 9 a.m.
and
Is there?
before 8 p.m.
And before 8. Yep, okay.
I'll make the motion with all that.
I'll second that.
Related.
Larry Cleveland,
Yes.
Jason Kraska,
Yes.
Barry Van Horn,
Yes.
Mayor Gallagher.
Yes.
Chairperson Warner.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Larry. We'll take a 2-minute break.
Remember, you're still being recorded and live streamed.
Good to see you too. Yes, thank you for the other night. I appreciate it.
Milton's a good egg.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I bet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we are going to move forward. So under pending business discussion items, this is just for everybody's awareness. The improvement coverage and residential zone conversion resolution did go through to council on Monday. No questions, no comments, so that will be moving forward. That has taken us a while to put through, but council has,
Was introduced.
thank you, it was introduced, I was thinking of the word and I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. Introduced, so with no questions or anything, comments for us, so.
So the planning board's recommendation is to adopt what was introduced. It's in
Correct.
between first and second. In fact,
Yes.
the board
Correct.
obviously originated here, but the planning board maintains the position of this is the recommendation, what was introduced in the first reading.
Yep. Yep, go ahead, Larry.
I happened to be at the Board of Adjustment meeting last week, and they have already started moving in that direction to use those standards.
Yeah, I think it's going to be extremely helpful to our residents and remove some barriers that residents, including us, any of us sitting up here, have had in the past, so. All right. Moving on to, as I stated earlier, we are in the process of beginning to.
Hold on really quickly. So
Whoop, but-
we need to
we
make
got
a
it.
determination of consistency and do a vote to send it back to
Sorry.
council with that recommendation.
I'll make a motion to send it back to council.
I'll second.
Larry Cleveland,
Yes,
Jason Kraska,
Yes.
Barry Van Horn,
Yes.
Mayor Gallagher.
Yes.
Chairperson Werner.
Yes. Thank you, Kara. Sorry, I just like to keep trucking along.
I'm fine with that.
Also, so as I stated earlier, we are consistently going to begin to review our redevelopment plans, master plan, and our zoning. One of the topics that we're going to start about tonight is our master plan. Before I get to that, the board, you guys did receive, this is not anything different in our scheduling. It's just that, thank you, Ryan, for reformatting it so that it fits onto a page a little bit better for us. But nothing has changed on the scheduling for that, okay? Tonight, we are going to begin that process as according to our schedule of re-examining our master plan. I'm going to turn it over to Mike. He's going to give a little bit more insight as to why some of you have been specifically asked to be here tonight.
Thank
Go ahead,
you.
Mike.
The master plan was last prepared in 2019. The one before that was 1990. We did some re-exams, and the real kickoff meeting to be here tonight was to go over the various departments and groups to say that they're going to be getting the copies of the various elements. For example, the
Oh, yeah. Hey, Mike?
Yeah.
Your head's blocked by the TV screen.
that's a good thing.
I know you keep trying that, Mike, but,
There we go.
There you go.
Yep.
and Kara moved the other way.
So, the various invites went out to the various members, Historic Committee, Environmental, to go Parks and Recreation, to go over these elements that are part of the master plan. You can have a fresh look at to see what needs to be tweaked, changed to match the current 2025 needs of the community, borough and its hall. So it's on the table to look at this. I know that Larry brought up that he would like to see the national and resource inventory added to the master plan. And I know the environmental group had comments about amending that to make it more inclusive, this is why we're all here.
Yes.
So I know the historic element, the commission had ideas to change some of the master plan on the historic element. So I'm sure we're going to discuss this along with traffic. So we're all here tonight, and it's wonderful that everybody showed up, many showed up, to go over that. The master plan will be broken down into the various sections, and those sections will be given to the groups to in the old days, you would say, to redline. Take a look at it, redline it, and come back to the planning board with comments, suggestions of how this can be updated to match the current setting.
Yeah, and I just want to make a comment too, so for any of you that were not involved in the process the last time we did the master plan re-eval, in the past and traditionally in most areas, it's done kind of the opposite. The planning board is the one that looks at it, we review everything,
Yep.
we make our comments, and then we send it out to the committees and the areas for comment. We've opted to do it the reverse. We want to hear your thoughts, your comments. You're the experts in those areas. You're the ones that serve in those areas. We want to hear those first. The one thing we are going to ask is, as you're doing this, we need track changes. Because we do have to keep a record of what we're changing and why we're changing it. It's not just to see, oh, let's see what they redlined. It really is, we do have to keep that as a matter of record, what those changes are. So as you, and Mike can walk you through any of that if you have questions, and when he sends out your pieces to you. But I know that us up here are very excited in the fact that you guys get to see that first. You're going to get that first crack at the re-exam versus us. Right? We have other areas that we'll begin to look at, but like I said, we really want to hear what you guys have to say first. You look at it, and then we'll look at it to make sure that, you know, if there's other elements that we need to add for compliance issues or anything like that, we will, but really want to hear your voice first.
And just so, some communities' master plans are 10 inches, 15 inches deep, thousands or hundreds of pages. Somerville in the past has done its best to make it readable and not 700 pages. So keep in mind that this is a 30,000-foot view of the community, and the actual nuts and bolts would be in the ordinances. This is the big guidance that everything is based on. So we're not, stormwater management would be in concept. The actual layout, if it needs to be said, would be on the ordinances as dictated by DEP. But just to say that we're looking at the 30,000-foot view to make sure the policies and guidance match the community.
So-
And that's true for all the elements.
Yeah, and actually, that's a good point, because many might not know, and for the public who might watch this, the master plan is that overall document that guides and what permits and does not permit certain things moving forward. So when new resolutions, new ordinances get put into place, it can't be in conflict of our master plan. So that master plan is actually, you know, it is a vital document. Everything done over the last 20 years had to be in compliance or within scope of what the intent of our master plan was. So that does, you know, it really is an important document that most people don't realize really does shape your community, because you really can't go outside of that. And, you know, somebody may say, well, I want to do, all of a sudden, I want to, I don't know, build another school, blah, blah, blah. Like, if it's not in compliance with what our master plan says, it can't be done. So keep that in mind. You know, I know many of you old folks here who I've grown up with have definitely know that, but many might not know that out in the public.
That whole side of the room's going.
I know. I know there's a whole side of the room that knows it, the other side might not, minus Phil over there. But I think it's important to point that out, especially for the public who might watch this afterwards, is that there is a reason we do the master plan. It's not just this, you know, erroneous document that we like to put together and say, oh, it's a vision. It is a vision, but there's also, it does shape what we can and cannot do moving forward, so.
Yeah, it's a legal vision. And, you know, as the chair said, we're doing it very different than we have in the past. And, you know, typically we would put subcommittees out of the planning board together, and they'd go sit in a room for a few hours and start tackling different pages and different parts of the document. And we all felt let's reverse it. It's giving the stakeholders the first crack at how this development takes place. One of the things that we have to be careful of when we do this is, you know, everybody's got their personal opinion on what they think is good or not good, and what they want to see in recreation or downtown or whatever it may be. And you kind of have to take a step back and look at it through the lens of Somerville, not through a personal lens. And you look at it, as I said earlier, you have to look at it, what do I want to see Somerville be or not be over the next 20, 30, 40 years? And that's the guiding principle as you craft this, as you look at it. And you may look at it and say, looks great. You know, we're going to change a few things here and there, but otherwise, you know what? We want to develop this area. We want to preserve this area. We want to encourage recreation in this area, we want to do that. It really is, it's driven by the committee that you pulled together. We're going to act as the oversight, because that's our job, that's the planning board's job. And, but we want the committees, the stakeholders, to have that first crack at it. And you know, think a little bold, but think bold for Somerville, not bold from a personal conviction. And that's sometimes a challenge for all of us. Right, Phil? Sure. But you know what? It is exciting. I mean, this is, you're helping to shape what we look like in 2045, 2050. And that's really cool. So, you know, then we'll be back there and critiquing what the next round of folks does. So it's kind of cool.
I do want to say, so we do have a schedule that we've put together. So as you get your pieces, are you going to be giving it on flash drives to them?
Yeah, we'll see how big the sections are.
Okay.
I was hoping those be emailable on
Okay,
10
so if it's-
megabytes so that no one has to deal with a flash
Perfect,
drive.
okay.
So I'll chop it up, and if it's under 10 megabytes, I'll try to email everyone. If it's bounce backs, we'll address it with jump drives or some other way.
All right. So Mike will take care of that. He'll get that out to all of you. The review, we are asking that it be completed by November 1st, okay? And then we would review that as well as any amendments, I don't know why I couldn't say that, that need to be done by the 12th. So just understanding that there isn't an open ending time. We are looking for you guys to have everything in that review. You know, if you can have it back to us no later than November 1st, and then we can start our process internally as well.
So just so you know, once this is all done, at the same time, we're looking at Gaston Avenue redevelopment. We're looking at East Main redevelopment. We're looking at West Main redevelopment. We're looking at landfill redevelopment. We're looking at all the different redevelopment areas, redevelopment plans at the same time, along with the zoning ordinance. So what happens then is all of this, at some point in the future, I'm not going to give a time frame because it'll be wrong, but at some point in the future, they all come together. And that's the goal. So now we have a master plan that is, or I should say, redevelopment plans and a zoning ordinance that's all supported by our master plan. And that puts us in great shape for charging forward, so.
Okay.
Comments?
Any comments? Questions? Come on up, sir.
Greetings. Mike Kerwin, 8 Everett Drive, Somerville. This is a great process. I want to commend the planning board for taking this step forward. I go back to the 1969 master plan. And that plan, how to paraphrase that plan, it was Somerville as a town where people sleep before they go to work in the morning at Union Carbide, Johns Manville, and American Cyanamid. It was done in 1969, right on the start of the transformation from heavy manufacturing to telecommunications and pharmaceuticals, and we didn't see it coming. So in the 1970s, we lost 12% of our population, 1,600 people left town, and we didn't have a master plan with strategies in effect. 1991, we updated our master plan and really came up with the idea. I would say the fundamental premise was we may not have a lot of vacant land, but we have tremendous redevelopment potential. And we outlined the principles that we started with, that we had a great future ahead of us. It was also based on the premise that the suburban sprawl model was doomed to fail at some point in the future, that there would be a return to centers, and we just needed to kind of develop the playbook as to how to get, so we're ready when that moment came. And then the most recent master plan, which I skimmed tonight, has held up really well. And I think we can say those redevelopment strategies have been successful in redefining Somerville. You know, we always tell the story was, you would, meet friends from outside the area and say, I'm from Somerville. And the response always was, oh, Somerville is great, but. You always heard the but, until a couple of years ago. You stopped hearing the but. And that's a big change. So now that so I would suggest for this round of the master plan is to have an overriding theory of the business, if you will, vision as to where we are in this evolution. Now that we no longer have to, we've invented a playbook that's been successful in redefining Somerville as a very successful community. Now what? Now we've achieved the success, how do we move forward and make it something that we can really take it to the next level? So we're no longer playing catch up. We're there. How do we seize the moment? And I think that overriding vision becomes the premise for then the groups that work on their individual elements. But without those overriding vision, the circulation element would be done separately from the recreation, from the, all the other elements. And I just don't want it to become disjointed. And want an overriding vision. And that's my 2 cents.
It's great. Great stuff, Mike.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Any other committees? Okay. As far, we don't have to make anything else for the master plan, correct? No. It was just that, okay, I just want to make sure. The only other thing is on the council meeting on Monday, I am pretty sure that the recommendation was made over from council to planning board to begin that re-exam of an area of need for the eastern
Yes.
Central?
Correct.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so that begins our clock now,
Okay.
all right? That begins on our schedule that we'll begin that review.
FAR. Just as a heads up.
Mayor, I am going to turn that topic over to you.
Thank you. So, and nothing other than just a heads up for the board. The Borough Council had some discussion at the last meeting, which I was not at, but they had some spirited discussion, and it was felt that the board, the council is asking the planning board to look at FAR again. The council believes that it might be time to address FAR. We've relied on FAR, floor area ratio, for those who don't know what FAR is. And the council believes that it might be time to address FAR and see if it is still warranted as a part of our zoning. So just a heads up that is coming. Right? And I know it's going to lend to some spirited discussion as it has over the last 20 years.
There must be a reason for it.
All right, I think that covers for redevelopment, master, and zoning. We did have, again, we've been doing this for full disclosure and for transparency to the board, ARB approvals. We did have 14 East Main Street Sidewalk Cafe for Bliss Coffee Lounge was approved. Go ahead, yep.
The drawing is a computer drawing, it looks great. It seems like it's awful close to the sidewalk if there's a tree grate there or a tree fencing right near them. I know there's 2 or 3, and if it's not right in front of them, it's near it. So that 4 feet of space that they claim they have is not 4 feet when it gets to one of those trees.
Well, has Bliss been one of the ones that's been removed?
Yes.
I was going to say, because I know quite a bit have been removed already.
Yeah, I think most of the southern side of Main Street has been removed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they have to reapply, but I'm saying that when you look at this drawing,
Yeah.
it says there's 4 feet of space from their chair to the sidewalk. No, there's not. There's not 4 feet of sidewalk anywhere. Come on, even without the trees or without the tables. So I'm saying if they're gonna talk about it's gonna go to 22 feet
That's
from
from,
the front door to the sidewalk.
that's to the curb.
It's to the curb line.
To the curb.
That's
Yeah,
to the curb
That's
line,
my
yeah.
point. But over there's a light pole. at the garbage cans they show, but I think there might be a tree element there.
That's okay.
It's okay, it's the space between, so that the obstruction can't happen, it's not, even though that tree and light pole are there, they have to have that space for walkability between that, and that is what they're complying with.
No, that's what I understand, but I'm saying the side that's closer to the street side, to the parking, I don't think it's 4 feet. If they're counting on that as walking space, that's.
No, we can't, even on the application when we review it, we can't, it doesn't matter if they said it was 10 feet there. The compliance has to be between their, in that space of what was walkability is in between there, where the trees and the light poles are, and then where their sidewalk cafe is stopping.
Okay.
And this is kind of a hybrid, because we had the discussion of moving the seating to the curbside.
Yes, we talked about
And this is actually a hybrid of that, and I actually kind of like this.
Yeah.
if it's real, that's all I'm saying, if
So-
it's real.
Yeah. So the dimensions, the construction office, when they give the permit, they have to
confirm that
those-
before.
Those dimensions match on here.
Okay.
Okay.
So we need to vote to adopt the recommendations of the ARB now, correct?
No.
Or no, that was just with regard to.
Only fencing,
Sorry.
only
Yep.
fencing.
Yep.
This is
Thank you.
just so that everybody's aware of what's
As
been
it
going
current-
through.
as it
As a
currently
courtesy.
stands.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, as it currently stands.
Hopefully, in the future, it goes back to how it used to be, that all the ARB goes back to the planning board.
We're working on that.
I know, we're working on it.
All right. I have no further comments. I would like to open up the meeting to the public for any questions or comments on anything tonight. Hearing none. Closing public. And a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in